And unfortunately, this is why lots of the non-Muslims do not embrace and revert to Islam because of. Now, if you try to compare apple to apple, you have no problem. If you compare Islam to other religions, you have no problem whatsoever. If you apply the same rule of thumb to each and every religion, you will always find that Islam prevails. Because you will find that 99% of Islam goes with your logic and goes with nature.
Islam is fair.
It is fair, it is just, it is logical. But if Satan wants you to be prejudiced and arrogant, he would say, no, this thing I do not understand, this thing I do not believe, this thing is not logical. Okay, use the same criteria, your process of analyzing, to your own religion. You would find that it is far greater mistakes and errors and things that you cannot understand than in Islam. So this window of opportunity we would like always to minimize, in the sense that it's not blindfolded, but accept Islam because you accepted the foundations, the main principles of Islam, the existence of one Lord of this universe, Allah, who has no father, who has no son, and who has no wife. He has no beginning and He has no end. You believe in this, you believe in what comes afterwards, that He would not leave us astray. So He would send us a messenger with a manual, with a book that tells us how to run our lives. And He tells us in crystal clear words where we came from and what should we do, and He tells us where we're headed to, and what is the reward and what is the punishment. And if you analyze the whole situation, you'll find out that Islam is the religion that goes side by side with your logic. Unfortunately, it is the arrogance in every one of us that makes us reject some parts of it. And because something I did not understand, Satan comes and says, well, the whole thing you should reject. You should reject the whole thing. Why? Well, I cannot understand why it's not lawful for us to fornicate, to have girlfriends. I love women. So I cannot understand why, therefore I'm not going to accept Islam. If you're fair, if you're logical, you would say, no, this is a defect in me. But all in all, yes, I don't like people fornicating with my wife, with my sister, with my daughters, and so on. So, therefore, touche. I have this defect in me, I confess. But the religion as it is, it's perfect, it's crystal clear, I accept it. And I pray to Allah that He fix this defect in me.
So the Islam came to save the limit between each other, between the people.
To save?
The limit between the people.
There are no limits among people because they're all equal.
Yeah.
And Islam came to promote the equality of all humans. There is no difference between a black and a white, an Arab or a non-Arab. And this was manifested by the Prophet ﷺ's teaching and by his companions. And going back to the issue of prayer, the Prophet ﷺ instructed us to make the 2 rak'ahs into 4, as Aisha said, and these prayers would remain 2 rak'ahs when you are traveling. So now everything was set, and people are praying 5 times a day. Before the Prophet ﷺ, when he was in Mecca, the Muslims did not have the upper hand. The Muslims did not have a community of their own. They were not allowed to gather in one place without being harassed or oppressed. The Muslims used to see their brothers being tortured simply just because they believe in one Lord of this universe. They believe in Allah, the Almighty. And they could not do a thing. The Muslims stayed for 13 years in Mecca. They could not raise a hand they could not take a sword. They were instructed and ordered by Allah not to fight. Imagine for 13 years being unable to defend yourself, being unable to protect your brothers, though you have the power to do so, yet Allah tells you, do not go to the on the offensive part. Just stay as you are, call people to Islam, practice your own religion, but do not do anything that would cause more harm to your cause. And this is a very important thing. In a lot of the countries, you have Muslim communities. And Satan comes to them and say, you're a people of power. Overthrow the government. Make chaos. Make attacks here and there so that Islam would prevail. And this is un-Islamic. Islam does not promote violence. And in so many places, you've seen these movements here and there, carrying the name of Islam, being oppressed, and they demolish, they go. And all what they've worked for these long years is gone because of the wrongdoing of a handful of youth thinking that they can take matters into their own hands. I'm afraid that this is all the time we have for today's program. So inshallah, until we meet next time, fi amanillah, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.